All right, family, the Eagles absolutely dominated the game yesterday. We will show you exactly how and why they did it a little bit later. But, Shady, I got to ask you first. Eagles, they are coming off of the heels of the Dolphins beating the Broncos 70-20. We were asking ourselves, who's the best team in the National Football League? We hadn't yet seen the Eagles play. Now we've seen the Eagles play. They won again, convincing fashion. Didn't look great, but still got it done. 3-0. Jalen Hurts, 19-1, I believe, in his last 20 regular season starts. 19-1. Are the Eagles the best team in the National Football League?
Well, I got to give credit to the Dolphins. You see them Dolphins, 70
Dolphins
points?
are nice.
The Dolphins are the hottest team in football. They are. But the best team is them Eagles, baby. We find ways to win. If it's running the ball, if it's throwing the ball, if it's getting turnovers, if it's stopping the run, if it's forcing fumbles, whatever it is, we're going to find a way. Special teams, kick returns, whatever you want, we're going to give it to you. And that's the thing about the Eagles that I got to take away from the Dolphins. We've seen the Dolphins winning in good fashion, right? Great offense, right? Timing, precise, completions, right? We've seen that with Tua. We've seen that with Tyreek Hill. We've seen that with Waddle. But what happens when that's not working? What happens when some guys is getting locked up, right? The things happen. You just have a bad day, drops. Because it happens, like with the Cowboys, it happens. How can you win? What you going to do? With the Eagles, we show it on offense and on defense. I'm sold with the Dolphins on offense. I'm not really sold on defense. I got to see more. With the defense, we getting back to passing, rushing that pass. We are stopping the run. Everything you want to see in the Eagles, we're doing on all phases. And that's why I have the Eagles as the #1 team.
I got a question. For you.
Is it your go?
What's the difference? What's the difference between hottest and best?
Well, that's a good question. It's a good question.
I mean, well, anytime a team puts 70 points on another team, you gotta give them some credit. You gotta give some love, right? You gotta give some love. The fashion the way they did it.
Because I'm just saying, week 1 they put over 32.
This is the reason why. Because collectively, on offense, on defense, on special teams, right? We've not one person on this desk, especially Joy, and she's the Miami Heat or Dolphins fan. Say anything about the defense. Have we?
She about to.
Have we? I ain't see you say anything about defense. Have you said anything about the defense? All I see is the offense.
You done? Because she about to.
I see Mike McDaniel and I see the offense. Okay. But the Eagles, it's everything. It's offense and defense. Rookies and vets. It's everything, baby. And we got that dude named Jalen Hurts.
Go get him, Joy.
I do have to say a little bit about the defense, though, because, I mean, that's what they did in the Chargers game.
Yeah.
They did put up some points, but
break it down to them.
They did stop the Chargers. They did get a big stop at the end of the game. Commanders made a bunch of money, and they shut that down. And then they played the Patriots, and they didn't score a bunch of points either, and got some stops there as well. And they were kind of coming back. So, and then, you know, they did what they did on Sunday, which was also. So I do have to give both sides of the ball credit. I am going to say the Dolphins are the best team in the NFL. But, you know, I give a lot of love to the Eagles.
You do.
And
we appreciate it.
And I think that, thank you. I think they're the best team in the NFC, and I think that's what they proved last night. And last night really, you know, it was a little messy at times. I still think that the Eagles haven't gotten to their best gear yet. And Sirianni said that as well. They're still figuring things out, still early in the season. We know how good the Eagles can look, and we haven't really seen them play their best football yet. And that, to me, is what's scary about the Eagles, because people are going to pick apart how they look, and they're going to pick apart Jalen. We're going to talk about Jalen in a second. They're not playing their best football right now, and they're still winning. And that is really what's scary to me. And it's what was scary to me about the Eagles last year, because it was the same conversation. They're not winning in this fashion. They're not throwing the ball enough. They're not beating teams bad enough. Who have they played? None of it mattered, and they ended up in the Super Bowl. So, to me, once the Eagles really start getting to a mode where they're hitting it on all cylinders, they're going to be the best team in the NFL. But right now, to me, that's the Dolphins.
It's interesting. My take actually probably resembles Shady's. And interestingly enough, like, I think the Dolphins are by far the hottest team in football. You put up 70 points, hey, you're scorching. And I would also say they are the scariest team in football, because you know what they're capable of doing to you. They are capable of beating you by 50 points. The reason I can't say the Dolphins are currently better than the Eagles is because when I really examine the defensive aspect of things, the Eagles and the Dolphins are on different levels. Now, the offensive aspects of things, the Dolphins and the Eagles are on different levels. So really, when I flipped the coin and I looked at it, I said, who do I have to give more credence to based upon equity? And when you're talking Dolphins-Eagles, the Eagles have done more consistently, more recently than the Dolphins have. Now, the Dolphins, you could say they're hotter. You could say they're scarier. You could say if they were on a neutral field, they might beat the Eagles right now. Because the tape is telling me that the Eagles' defense is better and the Dolphins' offense is better, and I really don't actually know the answer, I'm going to give the Eagles the equity credit because of how good they were last year as well, as opposed to just what I've seen the Dolphins now.
Well, I'm taking the Dolphins as the best team in football right now, strictly of what you just said. I feel like if they played tomorrow, the Dolphins win the game.
Fair.
You know, and that's why I'm going to take them. The Eagles is in a tough situation. Shady has won a Super Bowl. I've won a Super Bowl. When you coming off, I mean, not they've been in the Super Bowl, but when you're coming off a Super Bowl appearance, whether you're winning it or losing, you're the standard. And everybody is watching you to be like, oh, that's not as good as last year. That's not as good as last year. That's not as good as last year. So they are going to have to play really, really, really well, you know what I mean, to be able to be back up in that conversation as the best team in football. But you got to put in style points. That's why you see when you go around these NFL stadiums, right, you can have Hall of Famers on the defensive side of the ball. You see offensive jerseys in them stands, right? Dudes that may have caught 5, 6 touchdowns or whatever. You see offensive, because offense sells. But I think we are forgetting how good this Miami Dolphins defense is, too. They get a stop when you need to get a stop. I was on a high-powered offense. And all our defense wanted to do, they weren't trying to stop people from scoring plenty of points. They was trying to get a couple takeaways to get this ball back to you, right? Statistically, we're not trying to be number one in this and that. We just want to get Aaron Rodgers' ball back once or twice in the game. You look at the 3 games that the Dolphins has played. They had to come back in one game and score,
Chargers,
right? Then you come back, you kind of in a dogfight with the Patriots, right? Defense makes some stops. Offense is not clicking at a high level. And they gutted one out on the road and found a way to win. Then you come back home, and we all know they put up 70 on the Broncos. So I just feel like in those 3 games, they won different ways, which lets me know that it doesn't matter how the game looks, they know how to win. And we are going off of 3 weeks. Not Jalen Hurts being 19-1. We're going off of 3 weeks. And for me, 3 weeks, the Dolphins have shown they can win anyway, and they the best team.
Yeah, the Eagles are kind of victims of their own success.
No doubt.
Like, you're right about that. You're going to be held to a different standard, and you're going to get everybody's best work because they know what you're capable of.
You know who we are.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this though, right? Because I'm not big on just the opponents. Last year, Eagles kept winning. They kept saying who's the opponent, but with the Dolphins, we know how electrifying they are on offense, right? In defense, they made some stops here and there. But my thing is, if the offense has a bad day at work, do you think the Dolphins can still win games?
But that's what I'm saying.
That's kind of what happened with the
2 against the Patriots, that's what happened.
The Eagles have really played a similar game against the Patriots.
I see your point. That's
You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'm going with the Eagles if they were to play right now. A couple reasons. One, I haven't seen Jalen Hurts lose. Just not often. I think about it. He lost to Washington.
The main thing's the main
thing.
thing.
To the Chiefs. So I just don't have a ton of memories. Now, Tua doesn't lose a lot. Exactly. Tua doesn't lose a lot either. He just loses a little bit more than Jalen Hurts, obviously. And then I'm thinking to myself, when the Dolphins lost, and you watch it intently, I watched it intently. Shady, we were doing the show with you as well at the time. It looked different when they played defenses that was about that action.
That's what I'm saying.
When they played the Niners last year, and the Niners were really about that action, it just looked different. When they played the Chargers last year, and the Chargers were about that action, different Chargers team, it looked different. I don't talk about the Packers. Tua got concussed, and I won't talk about any games after that. But when they play defenses like the Eagles' defense is capable of playing, it just looked different.
We're talking this season?
Yeah,
we're talking this season or we're talking next
if we're talking this season and last season, I would give it to the Eagles as well because you know how I am about equity. But if we're talking...
That wasn't a question.
No,
it was this season.
Well, if it is this season, I am going to go the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But I still think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and I don't think it's a big gap, even with the way that Jalen has played so far this season, which hasn't been great. But it doesn't matter. That's what I love about Jalen Hurts is that he is a winner. Yeah. Whether he's playing bad or not playing up to standard, they're going to win the game regardless. So it's splitting hairs really for me.
But the question was, do you think that the defense can actually go out there and win the game?
I do.
Just dominate the whole game.
But that's where I say no.
I don't think so either. With the Eagles, I see we can go out there and win the game. Turnovers, stops. We can do that.
To some degree, yesterday the Eagles did. Yeah. Remember, after the Eagles got stopped and the defense had to go get a safety.
We got you. We got you.
I thought Baker was okay, Baker's 20-3. You got a chance. Maybe go down, get points, something like that. The Eagles defense was man, stop. Safety. Kick us the ball right back. It is interesting, though. We won't get to see that matchup, I don't believe, this year, Dolphins-Eagles, unless...
Luckily.
Unless...
Dolphins is nice, though. They're the hottest team in football.
See it in Vegas.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.